Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of my top 20 favorite movies of 2014. This is the top 10, and if you guys want to check out numbers 20 through 11 as well as my honorable mentions, you can go to this link right here. But why waste any more time? My number 10 pick is Boyhood. What a remarkable movie this is, even in its moments when it's unremarkable. And what I mean by that is it just has those scenes intercut here and there that are just like, why was this scene in the movie? It doesn't really fit into the grander scheme of things. If y'all haven't heard about or haven't seen Boyhood yet, I recommend it completely. It's out right now on Blu-ray and other home video platforms, and I recommend it just for the experience alone. Even if you don't like it, I think it's worth watching. I remember hearing about this movie a few years back when I wasn't really tapped into Richard Linklater as a filmmaker, but then just last year I really got into his Before trilogy and a few of his other movies like A Scanner Darkly, and then I also remembered, oh wait, this is the dude that directed School of Rock. I love that movie. And then I come to find out that he is the one behind this 12-year-long experiment, and I was like, yes! Boyhood may come off to some people as not very groundbreaking and even simplistic in some ways. And to those people, I actually agree. I do think that the film is not very revelatory, but it's between the lines of the film's messages that we find its true heart. And it's such an emotional journey, and by the end of it, I couldn't help but just feel so emotionally drained, but in a good way. And the winner for film that made me extremely uncomfortable for an extended period of time is my number 9 pick, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler. I'm crawling in the night. This film, man, it's probably one of my favorite debuts of 2014. Off the top of my head, I can come up with numerous moments in this movie where I was just like, oh God, what is he gonna do next? Especially one of the final scenes in the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Lou Bloom, is sitting in the car with his assistant camera, Rick Garcia, and they're discussing him getting a raise for doing something not technically ethical, and Lou turns to Rick when he asks for an even bigger raise, and there's like a 10-second pause where I'm just like, what's he about to do? Oh shit. So what I'm trying to get by you is that Dan Gilroy in this debut feature of his is just doing a masterful job of building tension. And to me, this is one of Jake Gyllenhaal's greatest roles to date. He crafts this character that you just have to fear. He's not the kind of guy that you want to run into in a dark alleyway, or after watching this movie in a television studio. For number 8, I have chosen The Lego Movie. Not trying to diminish my love for Princess Kaguya, but this is my favorite animated film of the year. It just is. It's a triple threat. It's hilarious, beautifully animated, and has a lot of great characters. Plus, the directing team of Phil Lord and Chris Miller strike again. Between Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, 21-22 Jump Street, and this, these are two guys that I'm gonna wanna watch for years to come. Nobody really thought that the Lego Movie was gonna be anything special at all. I mean, it's one big product placement, and admittedly, I wanted to go buy that pirate ship set right after I saw this movie, but it's like $250. But the directing duo of Lord and Miller are so tapped into what this movie needs to be about. Simply building something awesome, building something that expands your imagination. And they do this by laying the groundwork of a fantastic hero's journey. Very simple format, but it works here so well. They also use just the right amount of humor in the Lego Movie. It's energetic, but not crazy energetic like in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I like that type of humor, but it has its time and place. And it's also not like 21 or 22 Jump Street, which is more adult humor, again, time and place. The Lego Movie just walks that fine line, and I'm very excited to see what Phil Lord and Chris Miller have in store as the screenwriters of the Lego Movie 2. My 7th favorite movie of the year is Calvary. I feel like this film sort of went over people's heads, and I'm not just talking about audiences missing it in the theaters. Even when critics talk about it, I feel like they're just not giving it the appreciation it deserves. This is John Michael McDonough's follow-up to The Guard, a film that I remember liking well enough back when I watched it. I do want to return to it, although I definitely prefer Calvary to that film. If you haven't heard about Calvary, let me try and sell it to you. It stars Brendan Gleeson as a priest whose life is threatened. He is given 1 week to make peace with the loved ones in his life as well as everyone else in the small town in which he lives. But he uses this time to try and figure out who wants to kill him, as well as talking with all the people in this small town. And each different figure that he speaks with kind of opens up this little tableau. And it's within these character relationships that the film really opens up into both a comedic satire on religion, but also a very dark look at human nature. McDonagh is able to balance these two elements very deftly, and it comes off as such a powerful film in its final moments because of that. It's also my favorite Brendan Gleeson performance to date. I mean, you guys just gotta trust me when I say the movie is good. It was in my number 2 spot for most of the year. It's out there right now, Blu-ray, DVD, so on and so forth. I saw it on Redbox last night, so go and check it out. My 6th favorite film of the year is Starred Up. This film, directed by David Mackenzie, is a gripping look at one young man's rage and his struggle with his father, who has been in prison for most of his life. And it's the prison that our protagonist, played by Jack O'Connell, is about to enter at the beginning of this film. Jack O'Connell is so great in this movie, and he was also fantastic in Unbroken. This guy, he's gonna be everywhere in a couple of years. Starred Up also features excellent performances from Ben Mendelsohn and Rupert Friend. My only qualm with the film is that it sometimes feels a little convenient. Some character arcs just kind of progress without showing any real progression. As well, the father-son element kind of comes off a little cloying, and the way that it just kind of wraps up with a nice little bow at the end kind of bugged me, but the ride getting there was just so intense. It's also a great prison movie. Next, my number 5 movie of 2014 is Under the Skin. This one, okay. This one is the runner-up for movie to make me extremely uncomfortable for an extended period of time. But despite that, this movie fascinated me to no end. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, and even for the first half of the movie, I was like, ugh, where is this going? But Jonathan Glazer made one of the best sci-fi films that I have seen in the last couple of years. For all intents and purposes, Scarlett Johansson is basically the only actor in this film. She's interacting in the first part of the movie with real people on the street, and these moments are just so intimate. But that intimacy just kind of uncomfortably sheds off after the first entrapment scene. Even though I was a little uneasy after those scenes, the visuals just kind of kept me roped in and kept me watching and appreciating the story that was unfolding before me. It is, in so many ways, a very beautiful film. I need to go get it on Blu-ray so that I can start showing it to people and being like, look how great this is! My 4th favorite film of the year is actually one of the movies that I watched this past weekend to finalize my list of top 20 movies of 2014. Number 4, Selma. I'm not sure who is the more breakthrough-y talent here. Is it director Ava DuVernay, or is it David Oyelowo? Fuck it, they're both great. I won't lie to you guys, I'm a bit of a bandwagon jumper with this film. I wouldn't have even known about it had it not gotten so much positive press in the months of October and November at early festival screenings, but man, it's so good! My biggest fear is that some people are gonna look at the trailers and ads for this movie and go, oh, another biopic, and then tune out. But you can't do that with Selma. The script is so beautifully worded. Ava DuVernay is working with great material here, and she directs the hell out of it. Also, every single time David Oyelowo is on screen, he is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and just envelops you with his presence. But DuVernay doesn't look at King as just another idol to be worshipped. He's a complex character that I think audiences are at times supposed to be a little torn about. Unfortunately, some of the events in the film are timely, but in my opinion, that just adds to its functionality. The supporting cast is great, the score is great, and it's beautifully shot. Enough said. Selma, it's in theaters right now. I implore you to go see it. I am so excited to talk about my 3rd favorite movie of the year, Why Don't You Play in Hell? Every once in a while, I find a live-action Japanese movie that I love, and this film, directed by Sion Sino, is incredible in just every single way. It's a crazy, zany film. If I took any justifiable amount of time to try and explain this plot, this video would be too long. But basically it's about two warring Yakuza clans, the daughter of one of the mob bosses, and a film crew caught in the middle of it all. The movie is essentially a love letter to filmmaking. This film crew, called the Fuck Bombers, yes, that is their actual name, just have this incredible passion for making movies. Why Don't You Play in Hell is everything I love about Japanese cinema. It's colorful, it's melodramatic, it's violent. And it also has unique characters, larger-than-life characters, flawed characters, characters that you just can't imagine existing in real life. I'm kind of caught in the middle of the spectrum with Japanese cinema. While on one hand, I want to explore all the old stuff. I've only ever seen one Kurosawa movie. At the same time, I really want to see all of these new crazy movies because there's so much to explore in terms of how the Japanese culture works in their cinema. If you want to check this movie out, it's coming from Draft House Films on Blu-ray and DVD in about a month, but it's also on VOD platforms right now. I watched it on iTunes, it's also on Vimeo Plus, a couple of other platforms, just Google it. There's not many other titles called Why Don't You Play in Hell out there. Alright, getting down to it. My number 2 film is Gone Girl. Just when I was getting a little tired of David Fincher, he comes through with a banger. And man, Gone Girl delivers in every single way that I wanted, even ways that I didn't know I wanted. If you want to hear my extended thoughts about Gone Girl, I did a video review on it. It is a movie that I could talk about for hours. It's not just the head-turning performance of Rosamund Pike, and it's not the surprisingly revelatory performance of Ben Affleck. There's so much more to this movie to appreciate. I haven't read the novel, but from what I can tell in Gillian Flynn's screenplay adaptation of the script, she tackles gender roles in such a smart way. I think Gone Girl is a film that couples should watch together, even though it definitely will bring out some interesting conversations after the movie is over. For me, it also worked as a singular experience. In my mid-20s, I've been asking myself a lot, what role do I play in this relationship? It's stuff like that that had me hanging on to Gone Girl. Not days, not weeks, but months since I saw it. And finally, we've come to my favorite film of 2014. Thank you guys so much for waiting around and watching. It's not Birdman, it's not Whiplash, The Grand Budapest Hotel. If you had told me back in 2012, after I named Moonrise Kingdom my favorite film of that year, that Wes Anderson's next film would not only be my favorite movie of that year, but also top Moonrise Kingdom, I'd be like, whoa, slow down, film cowboy. I like Wes Anderson, I'm coming around to him, but I'm not in love with the guy. Although now, I'm not so sure. The Grand Budapest Hotel is pretty freaking great. I'll keep this short. Pretty much take every good element from any Wes Anderson film you've ever seen, compile it into one movie, add Ralph Fiennes, and you've got The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a joyous, hilarious movie, and it's utterly gorgeous. Seriously, you can pause this movie on any frame, and it's instant artwork. Do I feel like Anderson has peaked with this film? I'm not sure. All I know is that I'm excited to see what he puts out next, because he is a director that, no matter what, is always very interesting to watch. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching my top 20 movies of 2014. I hope you enjoyed the list, and I hope you agreed with most of it. Although I do want to know what your favorite movies of 2014 are, even if we disagreed. I want you to suggest movies to me that I missed. I definitely missed a good chunk of stuff. And I will also link you directly in the D box to my full list of movies that I watched in 2014. Everything from my favorite to my least favorite. Again, thank you guys for watching. Happy 2015. I think it's going to be a good year. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can stay tuned for more from me and the Film Feast.